ready.
Welcome to another episode of Buff in the Rough. Today we'll hear from Sarah Meade about what it's like to hunt in Virginia, a hound named Little Bo Peep, what it's like to be a woman in a male-dominated sport, and a lot more. Help me welcome Sarah to the program. Well, hey Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I'm so excited to have you on. You guys have had quite a run here lately this past year, and I've had you on my list of people to call for a while, and it finally worked out, and I'm so happy you're on. But before we get into this, I just really want to ask you, for people that don't know you, Sarah, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how you got into hunting?
Well, George and I met and married, got together around 2020, and he was just big into hunting, and I didn't know what he was doing. He said, I'm going to run the dogs, and I don't know what that meant. I thought he was going jogging or something. And he'd been gone for a long time, and I just can't figure out. He just went. I didn't really start running dogs until COVID hit our house in 2022, January 22. And I wasn't allowed to work. My kids were sick, but they were teenagers. They kind of took advantage of it a little, and they had little bells ringing them, and I had them quarantined. So after 3 weeks of that, that'll wear on you a little bit. I said, I got to get out of this house. Don't just stay in your rooms, get sick with each other. And he said, just go get my dogs in shape. I got North Mountain coming up. I didn't know what I was doing. I took those dogs out, and I said, you're putting those collars on too tight. No, you can't put those collars on tight enough, because the very first time I ran, I was crawling through a briar pile to get that collar out. It came off the dog. So that was January 22, and I just kept probably about a week and a half, just went out because I was just the kids. They'll wear you thin sometimes.
Of course.
And then February, I was at my first trial at North Mountain. That would be what we consider our home club.
Mm-hmm. So North Mountain, okay.
Yeah, it's in Clifton Forge, Virginia. So all of those guys just kind of took me in, and I went there, and they had some hot dogs and chips, and I was like, you go back again, and it's hot dogs. I'm like, we're not doing this. So we started bringing like all the food, crock pots of food. We'll have deer hoagies, spaghetti, deer chili, everything we could. We don't buy any cow. It's all deer. So we take all the food. I'll roll in with 3 or 4 crock pots for those North Mountain clubs. So we eat good while we're there.
Well, I need to put that on my calendar to come visit y'all. I'm all about eating some good food.
Yeah. But I had ran with him a little. I didn't know what I was doing. And he got me 2 dogs. I named them Pistol Whipping Annie and Dilja Dawn. They were out of Jerry Walker's dog Buck. And those were my favorites. That's what I started with. So I ran Annie at that first one, and I won with her, and I won with the dog we had named Shirley, simply Shirley. And she was also one of Jerry Walker's dogs we got from her. Mm-hmm. And
well,
I was just hooked. Yeah, I was just hooked. They said it was beginner's luck. My stepson Connor, he used to run a lot. He doesn't run that much anymore. He said it was beginner's luck. And, you go through your dry spells and stuff. But after that, it was like, we're tag teaming. Who are you running today? Mm-hmm. We had these dogs out training them, and I just fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's nice to hear. I mean, I always like to think that even out of the worst situations, good comes from it somehow. And so to think about how awful it was with COVID back then, it's easy to forget that now, but it was really dark and really, really tough back then. So to think that that's what launched your career, so some good came from it. So I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, he came home with those dogs, and I didn't know anything about it. And we had house cats at the time. And he said, well, the best way to start a pup is to put him on those cats. Well, I just thought that's what I did. Well, he came home, and that dog was in the house chasing that cat. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm starting this dog. He said, you're going to ruin that dog. You got it chasing that cat. He said, I was just joking. So you can't tell with George when he's joking, but I took it serious, and I had that dog chasing that cat all over this house.
I'm surprised they didn't tear your house apart.
It was pretty entertaining. We got like the hardwood floors, so they were just kind of sliding around. They couldn't get any traction. But the house cats have since left because, partially of that, because they can't trust me with dogs and cats together. But it was a lot of trial and error at first. I had a Dodge Durango, and he had a truck, and he wouldn't know when I was wanting to get up and go running. He might go off to work, and we get a lot of holidays at my work. He took the truck one day. I was wanting to run. I had to go up to PetSmart and buy me a big old dog box I could put in my Durango. That didn't really work, and so I've had to upgrade to a truck since then. And many encounters. I didn't even know what a coyote was. I thought it was a dog the first time I saw it out in the wild. Possums and skunks and just losing. I've lost so many dog collars, and I didn't even know how to work the handheld. I'm shocking my dog. We went out with a bunch of buddies, and I'm just shocking the crap out of my dog. I didn't know how to work everything. So it took a while before I was comfortable to really go out on my own and not be terrified the whole time I was out there.
Mm-hmm. So, Sarah, as you've gotten started in this the past few years, who's had the biggest influence on you to this point?
George has taught me, most everything I know. If I have a question, he usually knows the answer to it. And if he doesn't, he'll call one of his buddies and we'll figure it out. We call Shane Seaman all the time. He'll go, we go out, he's got a scorecard. And he's intense about it. Mm-hmm. I've told him I'm going to get a GoPro camera because we have disputes out in the field. And that was my dog that got that line. He's like, no, you're blind. So I've asked for a GoPro for Christmas just to eliminate those little squabbles we have. Because, of course, it was my dog that got that line, and he won't fess up to it. But I enjoy the show, and he's not that much into shows. So, for show, I have to go to Mike Taylor. He's a member at North Mountain. And then Jeff Stacy. He's all into the show, him and Kristen. And I can ask them anything, and they'll help me and guide me. Mm-hmm. But I really do. If I've got a dog that's going to stand halfway decent on that bench, I will work with it. And George just isn't into it. But now George has taught me so much, and the competitiveness in it. It just keeps me going. Like, he enjoys it, and I enjoy it. And we don't often get to run together with the kids. It's just like, you've got to take turns, and few occasions we do get to go out together. That scorecard comes out, and he is serious about it.
Well, who wins when you guys go out?
My dog usually always wins.
That's what I expected.
Unless there's some interference or something. He's usually got the pencil, so it's just hard to tell. That new scoring app might help me out there.
Sarah, you mentioned a couple of dogs, or a few dogs, but with Annie and Delta Dawn. What's been your favorite dog that you've had so far? I
really enjoyed Annie just because that was my first dog that I had. I won with her at that first hunt I went to in February of 22. And then, we went to Worlds that fall, and I'm just thinking it's another big one. We've done the Eliminator and Nationals. I'm like, oh, well, this is a big one. And I enjoy the big hunts, and we take our camper, and I won. And it was just one of the most emotional hunts I've been on because she did great. She did so great. And then we get done and we're adding it up, and something's just not jiving on the scorecard. We got an 8 at the end of my number. She had 678, and a 0 had been left off. And so when that math was redone, she won, and she won by a lot. I think she had the highest score the whole weekend at Worlds that weekend.
Oh, wow.
And I just cried. And it was, I believe, Scotty Miller was the judge, and he tells George all the time, I made your wife cry. And it was just so emotional, and I come back, and they're like, well, we've never won at Worlds. That's like a big deal. And I just take it as that's just another cast. So that's been one of my most memorable. But right now I'm hooked on, I've got Run Maggie Run, and I've learned a lot with her. She didn't do so good, like right out of the gate. She kind of has a whimper, and I wasn't brave enough to strike her on that whimper. but you got to learn each dog. Each dog's different.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I started, well, this is what she does, and that's her quirk. Strike her on that whimper, and then she's first strike, and she's tight on those lines. And when she's on it, she's hard to beat. So I really like her. Now, she started off as George's dog. We had a litter. We kept Maggie and Freddie. And Freddie ended up being faster, and he likes those flashy dogs. So we switched, and she's one away from Grand, and I think he lacks two. So that's another little competition we have. Who's going to get there first?
Well, it sounds like you like. It sounds like you might like female dogs better.
I really do tend, and then I'll get upset when they come into heat, and I'm like, we're going back to all males. We need males, but then I just find myself going back to the females. We've got a young pup out here now. I'm super excited about. Hotter than Wasabi. She's a triple Ruger dog, and we've got her out of the starting pen and got her jumping around rabbits. And he got a video the other day. Her first line. She's all by herself, and she's going to be something if we keep working with her. If I can keep George from taking her from me.
Well, I've got a feeling you can hold your own with George. I don't know. I might be misreading it, but I think you'll get what you want.
I usually do. I say, I don't have any red dogs. He shows up with a red dog. And the only thing I haven't got is, I said, I don't have any lemon dogs. I haven't got that yet, but I think we've got a pretty stacked kennel right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned not to get too attached to them because we've had a lot come in and out. And if they don't do what he expects them to do, he sells them and they're gone. Mm-hmm. If they're not fast enough, if they're too mouthy. Because I had Annie and Dawn, and it came to a point, he said, you got to pick one. And Dawn was a little mouthier, so we let her go. Mm-hmm. And we actually ended up bringing their brother from the same litter, Whitey Almighty. We went in co-partners with Jerry Walker, and we put a lot of wins on him, almost, if not grand. He did real good, and they were white dogs. So I was hung up on those white dogs for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, as you've been around and you've hunted and been successful at the world, I mean, you've hunted at big hunts, little hunts, all over the country. What are some of the best hounds that really caught your eye while you were out there competing with people?
I like running with Jerry Walker's buck dog. He's real good, and he can smoke those dogs when he's on it. We had Annie and Dawn out there with him once, and he just left them in the dust. That's been a few years back. And I got the chance to run at Nationals with Tyler Ransom's Rambo dog. They're all into those Ruger dogs, and that's really what George likes, is those Ruger. And I got to run with that dog, and he was pretty impressive. He was a pretty impressive dog.
Well, tell us about some of your favorite memories. You mentioned one with the world. That sounds like a good memory, but tell us about maybe a couple more that really stick out to you.
There's been so many. Let me see. I was hunting once out, and I couldn't find any of my dogs. They were just gone off of the handheld, and I'd lost that whole antenna off of my handheld. So thankfully it was snowing, so I was able to backtrack, and go back and find that antenna. But I'm like, well, I'm going to have a real hard time finding any of these dogs, without that antenna. And I just like to go. A lot of times I'll go to these hunts without George. He might have something going on with work, and I'm avid. I get on that page and I find those hunts. And I don't care if it's a club I've never been to before. I'll text some of the numbers on there, make sure everything's still go, and I'll GPS it 3-4 hours, get up the butt crack of dawn, and drive out and just meeting all the new people. I really like the 2-day shows, like some of the super sectionals that they have for the NHVA. Mm-hmm. I like those. I actually went in May to Doe Valley. It's Mother's Day weekend. I said, I think I'm going to take Maggie up here. He said, well, I'm not going to come up unless you win. He said, there ain't no point to even stay. So I got to hold up and lay there. And I said, she won both casts today. He said, well, we're on our way up. So he came up with his dogs. And she ended up getting 3 out of 4 and won the whole super sectional that weekend. So that was just a real nice Mother's Day gift for me.
That is a great memory. That's a really good one.
And Doe Valley, I go there a lot. I really do like it. And one of the times I went there, there was a tree down. There's not many ways into Doe Valley. And I had GPSed it. I knew how much time I had. And then there was a tree down. And I'm texting Ronnie, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I pulled into that place 2 minutes till deadline. I was hauling butt and grabbing dogs and trying to get everything done. I didn't think we was going to make it.
Well, you've done this for a while, and you've been active in both the hunting on the hunting side and the showing side. Is there a rule that you would like to see changed, or you could add something to it, take something away from it, totally eliminate it? Is there a rule that you would change if you could?
Yeah, I really think, like you go to Worlds, you have to qualify for Worlds. You have to qualify in a hunt to go to Worlds. I really think that with the show, that any dog that's there to show, they need to be hunting that day. This is about hunting dogs and what they can do, and then how do they look on the bench. I'm just not a big fan of, get those 2 cast wins, and then you can go to any show that you want to. I think any of those dogs at Worlds that are going to show, they're going to be running.
I like it.
They're going to be running and trying to get the Worlds. And even at, your local clubs that you go to, if you're running that dog, you can show it. Because, sometimes they're hard to beat. And I think that the UKC in this format we're in, it's mostly about the hunt and rewarding the hunt.
I like it.
And then can they stand on the bench?
Sir, tell me, now you said Clifton Forge, Virginia. Could you tell us what it's like to hunt there, what the conditions are like there?
They've got one that's kind of like a Boy Scout camp, and it's a little overgrown right now. Just a lot of briars. I think the last time we went there, it hadn't been cleaned up very well. And we left there, we had to crawl, do some army crawling. I had Maston Aldridge with us and a guy from the club, Arnold. And we left there pretty tore up because I was guiding and I knew my way around there, but I'm like, this don't look right. A lot of briars, a lot of stuff that'll get you. You can't wear yoga pants. I had to learn that real quick. No yoga pants. You've got to wear them briar pants.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you'd be too comfortable in yoga pants crawling through the briars of Virginia. So what kind of...
Mostly around here we have, we go on strip mines and run a lot of those. We've got a nice farm we go to in Greenbrier County, and it's a lot of walking hills and a lot of briars. And you're going to be walking some hills and getting some steps in up those mountains.
Well, describe what kind of dog it takes to be successful where you live. I mean, tell us a little bit about the traits in a dog that you like to have.
I like for them to be a little on the smaller side, not pushing that 15-inch, so they can get in those briar thickets. Maggie's probably just right at 14. They have to go in, and they can't pick around and try to wind a rabbit. You've got to go in the thicket to get them out. And sometimes the dog's going to lock up, and that dog's going to go in there and jump one out, and a dog on the outskirts might get first strike, but it's going to go in your favor more if that dog's going to go in the thicket and jump that rabbit out. And, these suckers are tricky. You got to have a dog that's tight on the line, that's going to make those turns with the rabbit and not overrun it. And you don't want a mouthy dog, pulls the whole pack away. They need, like that. Maggie won't hardly pull. And I like that. I really like that. She stays on the line, even if something's, I've lost lines before with Anna. I had a hard time getting off my girls world qualified. I seem to have a problem with that. And a lot of it's happened when Annie got pulled away from a line, by a dog that swung out real wide and picked it up. I mean, she was within 10 foot of that line, and it's just nerve-wracking. So I like that Maggie stays tight on that line, and she won't really pull. And I'll tell him, she's not going to go to him. If we're on a split, she's not moving. She's staying on that rabbit until it's down.
Sarah, when you're out there competing, and it sounds like you're very, very competitive, you like to win, as do we all. Who's somebody you like to beat just a little bit more than anybody else?
Well, of course, I like to beat George. We go out on those field trials, but just bragging rights, really, with George.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes when we're at a club, we're not going to pull out together because there's a lot of dogs there. Who I really like to be, especially as a woman, it's easy to be looked down upon. So I enjoy going to these clubs, and you got these guys that's like, you shouldn't be here. I like to just wipe that smile off their face, and I don't need to be at home in the kitchen cooking. And when I roll into these clubs, there's something in this box that's going to bring the heat, and I'm not just showing up with just some mediocre dog.
Mm-hmm.
There's something in that box that I've drove 4 hours to run this dog. It's run up.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
I've had several times where I just really enjoyed, have somebody kind of cocky and, well, this is going to be easy because it's a girl, it's a woman. And, I like to wipe that smile right off their face. And, I'm here to compete. I like to compete.
Mm-hmm. That's a great.
So if I'm planning to go to a hunt, my dogs run up.
That's a great answer. That's a really good answer. If and everybody needs help sometimes. If you have a hound related problem and you could only call one person, who would you call?
Well, if George don't know it, usually we work that stuff out, but we call Shane Seaman a lot. Mm-hmm. We like to study the pedigrees and plan out crosses that we're wanting to do. We've got a few good ones planned. We'd like to run that stuff by him because he's just really good at that, and he's been in it for a long time. And so I probably blow his vein up about as much as George does, and he's real good about helping. Mm-hmm. If me and George can't figure it out, then we call Shane.
Do you have a favorite part of the country you like to hunt in, or maybe even a favorite club or two that you like?
Yeah. I really enjoy Doe Valley. That's pretty close to the top of the list. And then any of the clubs that I got to drive up I-79 and go by Flatwoods, there's a Fiesta store there that sells dishes I collect. So anytime, like, they got the Eliminator up in Buchanan, and so I'm like, oh, we got to stop and get gas because I got to go into this dishes store and get me some more Fiesta ware. So I love anytime we go up I-79. But there's good running up there, too. And I enjoyed going when we went, I guess it was at the Worlds. We went up in Amish country. It was just so nice. I found some Amish stores up there. And I could stay busy all day and that kind of stuff.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have a favorite Fiesta wear color, or do you just get them all? Or
I like all of them. I get just all the multicolors. Mm-hmm. And I've got very few matching pieces. I just get them all, and my daughter's happy. She said she'll get those when I pass. She's going to have all kinds of nice dishes. Because every time I go, I come back with two or three pieces. I guess it depends on he'll not want to stop till we're on the way back because I have to earn it. He says you've got to win if you want some dishes.
I just thought I'd get some points for knowing what Fiesta ware was, and that it comes in different colors.
Yeah. It's hard to find. It's not everywhere, but it's really prevalent here in West Virginia. And anytime I go by 79, like when we go hunting in Gilmer County just for our deer hunting, we got to go by it, and I know that. So I'm like, yeah, let's take the camper up there and leave it. I'll get to go by that store a lot.
The camper will be full when you come home. Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned you like, at your local club, you guys like to cook wild game in the crock pots and stuff. So do you have a favorite recipe or a favorite way that you prepare rabbit or deer or something like that you could share with folks?
George does most of the cooking as far as like the rabbit. I don't know a lot about it. He took a whole rabbit, cut it, got it ready, prepped it, and smoked that. And he got a new smoker with some Cajun seasoning and Montreal seasoning, and just cooked it whole. And everybody loved it. It was real good. It just takes a lot of rabbits to make a meal out of anything. You're going to have to kill a couple before you can feed the whole household. But yeah, I made meatloaf last night, and I didn't tell any of them. They'll find out now. It was part deer, but he killed a bear a few weeks ago. I mixed some bear meat in there. It turned out fine. Nobody knew they ate it, but I didn't tell them that they ate bear.
Sarah, I've always heard bear meat was kind of greasy or gristly. Is that true?
It didn't seem to be, but I did mix it with the venison.
Mm-hmm.
And then we made some jerky. I couldn't tell any difference in that jerky. We made about 5 pounds of jerky.
Honestly, the only bear I've
the only deer. So I'm like, we'll try that with the bear.
Well, the only bear I've ever had was jerky, and I thought it was delicious. But I've never had like anything else made out of bear.
Well, we didn't intend to kill the bear. It just rolled up on him, got about 10 yards from him, so it was either shoot or eat.
Self-defense.
So, yeah, I'm just glad it came up to George and not me, because I don't know what I would have done.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have froze maybe or screamed at it, and that might have made it angry.
Well, this next question, I kind of want to follow up on something you said earlier when I asked you, is there anyone you like to beat a little more than anyone else? And one of the parts of your answer had something to do with how you're treated at clubs sometimes, and that you like to beat those cocky guys that think you're just going to be an easy win. So I want to ask you this. So what are some of the unique challenges that women in our sport face that men may not? I guess maybe could you talk to us about what it's like to be a woman in a male-dominated sport?
Oh, it's intimidating, especially at first when you're just learning the rules and, learning the dog, learning the rules. It was very intimidating. And, the guys at North Mountain would say, you got to call your dog. You need to call your dog. And I'd go to these big hunts and they're messaging me, tell her to call that dog. She's got to strike that dog in. I'd be a little timid.
Mm-hmm.
You're expected to be sweet and soft-spoken, and that doesn't work in this kind of hunting. You got to just stand your ground. You got to know those rules. You speak up for your dog. You can't be afraid to have a voice out in the field. You can't be afraid to question the rules. You think something's being done wrong, you have to speak up, even if it's a little intimidating. And it's not as intimidating now because you get to know all the guys. And the ones that seemed, like I used to be afraid of Owen D'Agostine. He was just so intimidating to me. He's serious. He runs that dog.
Oh, yeah.
It's the dog. His focus is on the dog. And it's just now impressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be afraid to speak up for your dog. You've put the time in it. You know the rules. You study the rule book. You read it over and over. And then you have to learn how to apply it in the field. And if something don't feel right, something's not going right, sometimes the rules can be bent one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be ready to stand up for yourself and your dog. Your dog's doing the work. You're just there to call it.
You are. Sarah, I totally agree. You're your dog's number one advocate. No one else is going to be taking up for your dog except you. I mean,
they don't care. You don't strike your dog, they don't care.
Yeah.
They're going to get first strike over you. So, you can't be timid. And I've learned a lot, with even the striking Maggie on a whimper. I was just so afraid. And Maston Aldrich, he said, live by the sword and die by the sword. And he said, you're going to strike it on a whimper or you're not going to get first strike. And since I've done that, it's just really turned around. She's just gotten win after win. So it's really helped. She got a win up at the McVeigh. I think she's got 12 wins this year.
Wow.
So hopefully she'll keep, doing her thing. Freddie's right there behind him with 10, and then Otis, he's got 7, and he got second in nationals this year. And sometimes when you go to these big hunts, I like to run Maggie. But sometimes it's like, Maggie didn't get the win, so now I'm going to run Otis. I have to know that dog just as well as the dog that I prefer, because it's not fair to, have George run all these males up and I can't finish it out for him. So you got to know them all. And each one of them has their own quirks, and you have to know what they are and be comfortable enough and confident enough to be able to call it. You got to call them in your sleep.
Have they ever asked you to judge yet?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I've judged. I started judging some at North Mountain. Mike Taylor helped me a lot with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at Doe Valley, Ronnie trusts me enough that I'll judge there, and I've judged at multiple different clubs, and it's a little more nerve wracking. You got to still remember you're there for your dog, but then you're watching so much other stuff, and you got your timers going.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's not as intimidating as it used to be. As long as you know those rules and you're paying attention to your dog.
Well,
Plus everyone else's. That's the other thing. To judge, it's plus everyone else's. When you're just running your dog, you can just call your dog, and you kind of got in the back of your mind what the others are doing. But you really have to know and pay attention and be prepared for some, maybe issues to come up, and be ready to handle it. And then that's, but just part of it. You have to know the rules and say, hey, and I've had a few where I've made mistakes. Maybe did some math wrong, and we'd had a few issues. But math is one thing, but you've got to be able to try to resolve everything out in the field and know the rules enough and be confident enough to kind of enforce it. And it's pretty easy.
Well, Sarah.
But yeah, North Mountain and Doe Valley, I judge there a lot.
Well, you must be earning people's respect, or they wouldn't be handing you that scorecard. So that speaks
speaks
highly.
They told me at Doe Valley they had never seen so much writing on a scorecard, because I fill out every little box and it's so neat and carried over. They're like, who was the judge of this? I've never seen so many numbers. It's going to take me a minute to check it, because I fill out every little box on there, and that way you can go back and you know exactly what happened that whole task, because I got it all on that card.
Hey, the scorecard tells a story, and if you've done your job as a good judge, anybody could pick that card up and tell exactly what happened on that hunt. So
yeah, I've
kudos.
seen some of these chicken scratch ones these guys take back, and I'm like, I can't even read that. You're gonna have to help me. I don't know what happened, and and don't be afraid. Like, even if you're learning and you're going to these clubs, take your own scorecard, fill it out as you go. That way you can kind of keep up with what's going on. That's for anyone just starting out, or learning maybe a different format. Take a scorecard with you on a cast. It's not going to offend anybody. I've seen a lot of kids do that. They'll take their card, and it helps them to know what's going on, because they might be a little intimidated to ask the judge questions, but if they're writing it down, they know, and they can take it home and see exactly what happened. So you can take your own scorecard out there. It's fun.
Well, this is a great segue to my next question, which is kind of a part two to that last question. If you were giving advice to youngsters, and maybe even specifically young girls that are interested in getting into rabbit hunting, what kind of advice would you give them?
You need to, try to find a good mentor, somebody that's been hunting, kind of knows the ropes. Even if it's a kid, your grandpa that just likes to hunt rabbits, go out with them, and then you just get your rule book and start going through it. You really need to get then with someone who knows the rules, and go out and take that scorecard with you. And even though me and George go back and forth trying to be the better, you'll learn the most out in the field, and you'll learn the most by putting it on that scorecard. You know that rule book from the front to the back, but until you get out there and apply it in the real life, it doesn't really make sense. It's just words. But until you see those dogs do what they're trained to do and let them do their job, you're not really going to fully comprehend those rules. That's when I've learned the most, is just by going out by myself or with George, running the dogs, learning from the dogs. Each one has their own quirks. They're unique. And you have to know how to call them the right way to give them the best chance. You can't be afraid. I used to always wait. I'd count to three. 3 barks. I would never strike a dog on the first bark. That doesn't work. I've learned that real quick. If that dog barks, you want that dog to be on a rabbit.
Put them on the paper.
Put it on the scorecard.
Sarah, one of the things that you mentioned, and I think it's great advice for anyone getting into the sport, especially the competition side, is carrying a scorecard with you. And you mentioned Doe Valley many times as one of your favorite clubs and favorite places to go hunt. I think it was very early on in my rabbit hunting career that I think it was Ronnie Brown, or maybe it's Thomas, one of those guys gave me some old scorecards. And it was like at the end of the trial season, and they were like, Sam, take these scorecards, and when you go out at your house, just keep score. That's how you'll learn the rules the best. And that was some of the best. It's so simple. It's really simple, a simple notion.
It's
but
simple,
take it with you and go do
it.
it.
It seems silly, you're out there by yourself with a scorecard trying to keep score, but that's when everything in that rule book converts over, and it makes sense on the scorecard. You can read that book front to back every day, and until you get out there and actually do it, because every hunt's not the same, and one rule might go this way in your favor one day, and then the next day it's going to bite you in the butt. You need to know different scenarios, and really, I hate split tracks, and it's still so intimidating when I have to judge on a split track. But until you get in one, you have no idea what a split track is.
Yeah, big winners and big
losers.
There's
so many different ways that it could go, and you're either a hero or a zero in them usually.
That is a fact. Well, what's the biggest, if I ask you to look in your crystal ball into the future, what's the biggest challenge that future hunters are going to face?
Hunting grounds. They are few and far between, hard to find. Everything's getting leased up for deer hunting, and they say it's going to run the deer off, and it really doesn't. I've seen deer just stand and watch, like, what the heck are you doing there? Just, it's hard to find those hunting grounds. And then once you find them, a lot of the problem is you have to respect the hunting ground. You're not going to leave trash out there. You got to keep it clean, better than when you found it, really. If you find trash, pick it up. These people aren't going to let you on their hunting grounds. They go out there and you've done, thrown trash and just debris. If you've got a parking spot clean up, you poop. If your dogs poop, like right in a park, clean it up. But it's hard to find. We're looking into, we've been toying with the idea of opening our own club in Greenbrier County area, and we just don't have enough spots.
Right.
It's just so hard to find them, and once you get them, you really need to try to hang on to them. And then the youth, you got to keep the youth involved. If they're not, that don't mean just let the youth come and let them win. We got to teach them.
That's right.
So that they want to come back. You can't just hand them, off the wins. They need to learn and earn their wins. And that's why I like when I see all of these different youth events that, NHBA does and different clubs put on the youth hunts. So then, they're all in their own category. They're not going up against the adults, and that intimidation factor is gone for them. Liam is 7. We're hoping that he really enjoys going out, but he doesn't know. He's not ready to go on his own. But we're hoping that, we can teach him. And he swears Otis is his dog. He thought he was coming on this interview, and I wasn't allowed to talk about Otis. That's his dog.
I love that.
I think Alan Gingrich learned not to hand him the microphone. He handed him the microphone. I believe it was at Nationals. He didn't want to let go of it.
He
said, my dog's name is Sir Otis of Mayberry, and quickly corrected him. I said, Lord, he don't need to hand him the microphone because he won't get it back.
Sarah, why do you keep doing this? I mean, what is it about hunting rabbits with these beagles that just keeps you going back?
Well, one, it's something George and I both enjoy doing. He's very passionate about it. I enjoy it. So we do that, and we keep stuff run up so that we can go do it. I just enjoy, the competition, the going. You meet someone new at every hunt you go to when you go to these big hunts, and different areas to run in and different terrain, and just, kind of get out there and meet other people that like the same thing that you do. Because I can talk to my friends, and they're like, I don't know why you're going out in the woods with these dogs. I don't know what you're doing. But then to talk to someone that does the same thing, they get it.
Mm-hmm.
They get it because they enjoy it. It's therapeutic. I could be at work, my mind's fried, take those dogs out, and it just it's a stress reliever.
Mm-hmm.
Just to go out, hear those dogs bark, and do what they were born to do.
You're so spot on. I think of it as therapy too. I really do. You can have the worst day in the world at work and go grab a couple hounds and make a circle or two, and all of a sudden things aren't as bad as they seem.
It was really hard. We got a good pup. We had a good pup, and we lost him.
Oh.
He wasn't even yet a year old. He was out of Mongo. Boy named Sue. And I swear I went out after that. I didn't want to go. I took a few weeks off, and I didn't want to go. He said, you got to go run Annie. We got Worlds coming up. And I swear I could hear a dog barking. Mm-hmm. I could still hear him barking.
Oh.
So we kind of went through a rebuilding year last year because we were ready to just put Sue out, and then we lost him, and we had that litter of pups. And that rebuilding year, just gave us time just to bond with what we had, and then, reevaluate what we needed. So we've got a lot out there in the kennel. Really, we could use another handler. Connor used to run, my stepson, and if he would get back in there, I could buy more dogs. But now he might be putting the crunch on one of them, and I don't like getting rid of dogs. Mm-hmm. Everything we've got out there is good. We've got one retired dog and six that can do it. So I'm excited. We got 3 young ones out there. One I haven't even put in any trials yet, so I'm hoping to break him out. It's another one it's Little Bo Peep out of Mongo. I'm hoping to break him out at the Eliminator.
Oh.
And the way Wasabi's going, she might be starting a little early too. She's just about 6 months, triple Ruger, and she's doing a fine job so far.
Wow.
So it's just I like starting the pups. I like the solo with them. I got a place I take them to. It's not eat up with rabbits, but they have to learn to keep their mouth shut too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
George hates going out there. He's like, I want to hear the dogs bark. I'm like, I don't care if she barks the whole time. She's doing what she's supposed to. Mm-hmm. But she'll usually get 2 or 3 out there, but it's a far cry from like when we go to the farm in Greenbrier County. They just pound the whole time there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sarah, as we kind of wrap up, I want to ask you, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that maybe I should have? Or is there anything else you want to cover? Or do you have anything you want to promote?
Well, if anybody in the Greenbrier County area has some hunting land, farm, we're really interested in opening that club in Greenbrier. We just lack a few more spots before we can do that. Mm-hmm. But no, we not really anything else to promote. We just got a couple of crosses coming up that we're pretty excited about, mm-hmm. and looking forward to the future.
Very good. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend a few minutes with us, telling us more about yourself and your hounds. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much. I enjoy your podcast. I listen to every one of them that comes out. Oh, and I learn a lot from it. It's really educational sometimes.
Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. Thank you for listening to Buff in the Rough. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to be notified when new content is available. And please send comments and suggestions to buffintherough@gmail.com.